Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is H.L. Ackerman. I have a degree in publishing and I'm currently working on writing my debut novel. This is also my third month in a row, not week, not day, but month. Third month in a row of making a YouTube vlog. I'm getting better at this imperfect consistency thing. It's been a little rough, but we're making it work. So the little bits of consistency that I can achieve anywhere in my life, that's just like unprecedented for me. So very excited to spend a little bit of time each month just vlogging and documenting my process, writing my book. If you've been hanging around the channel for the last few videos, then you know that I'm currently working on a birthday book challenge where I'm trying to write a 90,000 word book before my birthday in November. I started the challenge in April. I had 30 weeks to hit 90K, and I'm on week 22. Guys, I think we might finish this book a month early. Here's where we're at right now. We're going on a trip at the end of September, and this isn't just any old vacation. This isn't just any trip. This is my dream vacation, okay? If you could go anywhere, where would you go? This is the place I would go. I'm so excited. I have tried to go on this trip and visit this place multiple times over the past several years, including once over COVID, and it always got canceled or rescheduled or things came up or the budget changed. Everything has gotten in the way of me getting to go on this dream vacation. And so of course, my husband surprises me with tickets to go. And it's part of his anniversary gift to me, even though our anniversary is in January. But I've always told him that I wanted to visit this place in the fall. And so he bought us tickets for end of this month. We've been waiting all year to go. It's just such a big deal. I'm so excited. I don't even know what, like, my aspirations are fulfilled by that point. The only thing left is to get published. And that's what we're working on now. I'm putting myself on a new deadline because I need that chaotic piece in my life. I guess I can't just have like a normal schedule. I have to stress myself out, and that's how I function at like peak stress level. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I do this to myself, but I'm a full month ahead, and so I'm cutting a month off of my schedule, which means I'm actually behind. Is that girl math? I think so. I don't know. Let's take a look at the draft and where it's at. My draft is currently sitting at 75,624 words. Can we just take a second? The last book I wrote, 120,000 words. It took me 18 months to do the whole draft. And then I was also doing revision work for another 6 months. Like, it took me 2 years plus to work on that book. And this one, I woke up one day in December at the end of last year with like just this new determination to work on this story idea. I was still in my corporate job. I was just getting off of maternity leave. And I hadn't been creative in so long because I was just like physically miserable. I quit my corporate job at the end of February. I spent all of March creating a new approach to storytelling that I wanted to try out with outlining, put it all in my workbook. And I have been working through that tool to build this book. And I have written it in 6 months, which is crazy to me. 75,000 words in 6 months. That is previously unheard of for me. I've always been the person who got 2 chapters in, or, you know, 1 chapter, 1 scene in on a story idea and then abandoned it, left it to sit. This is not the first book I've ever written. I've written 3 other manuscripts that are pretty solid and then a bunch of little pieces. But this one feels so different because I took the time to prepare. I built a system that I knew would be effective, at least for this story that I wanted to tell. I laid out a very basic skeletal plot for how I wanted it to go. And then I just went for it, and I set this goal of 3,000 words per week. And honestly, it's kind of funny to talk about it when literally in my last video from August last month, we were talking about my ideal publishing timeline. This just goes to show that having an objective and a target and a timeline is good to shoot for, but things are never going to go the way you expect them. This challenge has certainly not gone the way I expected. I expected it to be so much harder to get back into creative work on the other side of, becoming a mom and quitting my corporate job and moving into different kinds of work. It just feels so good to see that number at the top of my manuscript and see how far I've come, especially my little graphs, my little tracker graphs. I can't really explain to you how emotional it feels to see some of these tiny efforts are paying off as I've chipped away. I've been so quiet about the specifics of this project for so long. All I've really shared about this story so far that I'm 75,000 words into is that it is working to subvert the hero and villain archetypes. And it's a little bit of a cross between Wednesday Addams and Assistant to the Villain. You've got kind of some corporate references in here. You've got a lot of classical fantasy scenes, but they're going to show up in ways that I hope will surprise you. Anyways, so much of being a writer is about sitting there in the silence with no one else around, doing work and never quite knowing, at least not until you're all the way through publication and people are like reading your book on the back end of things, which is years down the road. Up until that point, you don't really know if it's good. I mean, you can think that it's good to yourself and you can get opinions from your friends or an editor or even an agent or a publisher, but until you publish the book, you don't really know how it's going to be received. I'm 75,000 words into this book that I don't even know if anyone's going to like. I don't know if anyone's going to read it. I hope they do. One of my friends who is not typically a reader at all, she got on the document and started reading it and she couldn't stop reading, and she has cheered me on and been really excited, and it makes me think that perhaps this book is at a level of storytelling intrigue that will hook people who might not typically even like reading. Something about that just makes me really happy that this is a story that people of all different walks of life could potentially find themselves in. Now I'm just ranting. We're on week 22 of my challenge, and I need to stop ranting and actually tell you how it's going. So let's just do that. I have a trip coming up in a couple weeks, and I want to finish this book before we leave. Maybe writing the last chapters on the plane to my dream vacation. How crazy would that be? Chef's kiss. I have to pace myself just right, but this could be really incredible. Let's take a look at my writing history and what we need to do in order to finish this book before I leave. We have written 5 days out of the 9 days of September, which again is really great because even though we aren't writing every single day, there is an imperfect consistency. We do have a majority of the days. We're chipping away, and I haven't even written yet today. So once I write today, it will be 6 out of the 9 days so far. I am visiting the draft, looking at the draft, thinking about the draft more consistently than ever, and that's what really tells me that this challenge is working. Yes, I will have a finished book by my birthday. Yes, I'll finish it probably an entire month early, but the real victory, it's not a numbers thing. It's a confidence thing. It's realizing that if I chip away at something really consistently, I can get something done, and it's not going to be just good but extraordinary. And not extraordinary in the eyes of people who leave reviews, but extraordinary in my own mind, because that is the real villain. The villain in every writer's story is themselves, and I am conquering myself. So I'm both winning and losing. I don't know how you want to look at that. For September, on the 2nd, we wrote 9 words. I know, shocking. It's amazing. Someday you could be here too. Anyway, September 2nd, we wrote 9 words. September 5th, we wrote 788 words. September 6th, we wrote 2,326 words. September 7th, we wrote 766 words. And yesterday, September 8th, we wrote 12 words. Imperfect consistency. And I don't care that I only wrote 12 words yesterday. I'm still counting it as a writing day because the fact that Scrivener told me I wrote 12 words yesterday means that I sat down, opened my laptop, got on the manuscript, and started typing something. And it's not in my notes, it's in my draft. And I'm pretty sure I changed a few dialogue tags from my last few paragraphs. That counts. That counts in my mind because I am, again, focusing on the habit. And if I had a daily word count goal where I'm like, I need to hit 500 words a day, this day hitting 12 words, that's considered a fail. But because I'm focused on building a habit with a rudimentary 3,000 words a week target, that is no longer a fail. It's a success. Any amount of work is a success, even on the day when I don't make a ton of progress. And habits are what make your dreams come true. I will say it and say it again. Habits and mindset. Habits and mindset. It applies to every single aspect of your life. I have really enjoyed getting to study some mindset type stuff over the last couple months as well. In my nonfiction reads, just thinking about mindset and about habits and about how we gauge success. That learning has also played a really instrumental role in how I perceive my success and how I maintain my creative motivation. Creativity and the motivation to create is born out of inspiration, and the quickest thing to kill it is self-doubt, shirking under this idea that you are bound for disaster. What is the worst that could happen? I'm ranting again. This video is going to be all over the place. Reeling it back in a little bit, let's go ahead and calculate what I need to do in order to hit my 90,000 word mark and finish out this book before I leave for my trip on September 27th. We have 17 days and I'm at 75,000 words. And this is where things get a little bit tricky. So let's go ahead. 90,000 words minus 75,624. You guys, look how small this number is. 14,000? 14,000, you guys. Oh my gosh. This is totally doable, okay? This is doable. 14,000 words left. If I were to divide this by a daily word count goal, I would need to write 845 words per day. That's crazy. But 14,376. Divide that by 3 weeks. 4,792 words per week can get me to 90K before I leave. Ooh, it's ambitious. It's ambitious. However, I know that if I sit down and do 2 really good writing sessions, longer bulk writing sessions per week, shooting for 2,000 or so words each writing session, it's totally doable. Then I only have to do it 2 days this week, 2 days next week, 2 days the week after. And then we're writing the final chapter on the plane to my dream vacation. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I think as we get closer, it's kind of starting to hit me how close we are. The last time I was this close to finishing a book, I think I was on deadline to have it done so that I could pitch it at a writing conference, which I have learned, don't do that, by the way. Don't pitch a rough manuscript at a writing conference. Try to at least have a few developmental edits in if you can, simply because you might get caught off guard like I was and have several agents, editors, or publishing houses actually request your manuscript and you're not ready. And then you've killed your chances before you've even started. You know, it's worth it to wait a few more weeks, get a little bit of developmental edits in, and then go for it. So that's what I'm trying this time around. That is my approach with this manuscript. I was so excited. I jumped the gun with my last manuscript and then it floundered in queries. This time around, I'm taking my time. I'm forcing myself to be patient. I'm forcing myself to be thorough. So once this manuscript is finished, like last time, I will be finally announcing the working title for the manuscript, and I will be able to start sharing more quotes and a little bit about my characters. But I'm, again, not going to go into too much detail until I'm into queries. I just can't stop staring at this big 5-digit number, 75,000. It's emotional, you know, to be a writer, to be a creative, and to be taking your lived experiences, your beliefs, your your worldview, perspective, and what you understand about relationships and mistakes and human flaws. All of this is what we weave into a story. And most of the time it's fun. Sometimes it's stressful. Sometimes you hate it. It's really profound as well. It's really profound. This book especially has, in talking about heroes and villains, there's some redemption arcs in here for sure. There's a lot of discussion around darkness and light, which is something I've always been drawn to. It's a little bit of an overused trope, but I've done a lot of nonfiction research into the psychology behind darkness and light, and it's just been a very prevalent principle. And so I see myself infusing that into my book projects, and it doesn't make me mad. It tells me a lot about myself. It's like looking into a mirror sometimes with this book and seeing, especially at the discovery writing level, scene by scene, where I have a rough idea of what I want to happen next, but I'm letting myself just learn a lot of the story along with my characters. They say things that I realize are a deep-rooted part of my psyche, and it's super sketchy. It's very trippy at times. Coming from a project point of view, you have to be able to separate your sense of self-worth from your work, because otherwise you'll never survive. But at the same time, it's that infusion of who we are at our deepest selves that brings artwork to life, that breathes life into our creative work. I'm allowing myself to be emotional about wrapping up this book. It's been a labor of love, honestly, over the whole summer, trying to bring this book to life and trying to do them justice in the first draft. Obviously, it's still rough. There are several chapters I've already marked that I need to go back and do serious revisions for, do some cut downs, do some scene transition write-outs. But overall, I think that this is going to be ready for us by the time I leave for my trip, and then hopefully I'll get to take a couple really cool videos on my trip that I can share with you when we come back, and that'll be a really fun video for October. My husband's calling me every time I sit down to record. He's like on the phone ready to talk to me. After all of this ranting and talking about random things, I'm going to kind of just wrap up this vlog. It's a little bit more straightforward this time because we've got a lot going on and I need to get ready for a couple things. Thank you so much for stopping by and just chatting with me about writing for a little bit. I'm assuming that you're probably a creative person like me and that you face a lot of the things that I face, and it's just really fun to be able to sit and kind of document this process a little bit. Something to look back on when I'm further down the road, hoping that this book goes as far as I want it to. Either way, it's a learning experience for me, and whenever I can share it, I know that it is really valuable for other people because I myself have spent so many hours watching YouTube videos and following the journeys of other authors who are pursuing traditional publishing. My brain just like stopped. Ugh, this is a mess of a video. I have one tiny announcement for my channel before I sign off today, and that is that I have been invited to present a class on graphic design fundamentals for writers at a writing conference in Utah next month. So go ahead and check out my social media page if you want details on that. I'm going to be teaching about graphic design fundamentals because graphic design is the professional kind of career vein that I come from. That's what I did before I quit my corporate job. So I'm very excited. I love doing graphic design training and teaching and speaking about it on a volunteer basis. That's what I do with the Idaho Writers Guild, which I am a board member on, and you should check it out. And if you're an Idaho writer, you should join us. Anyways, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Be sure to like the video, leave a comment down below about where you're at in your writing, and we will see you in the next one.